Hi, I'm Miles from Chorley Group Go EV. Today we're going to be talking about, are electric cars really still worth it? If you've ever driven an electric car, you already know that it drives better than a petrol or diesel car. And obviously it's better for the environment because we've not got those exhaust emissions coming out the back of the car. But financially, does it still stack up as a value proposition that it once was? There have been a number of changes announced recently in the Chancellor's autumn statement here in the UK, but also there's been a number of changes over recent years to policy, meaning that government no longer gives plug-in car grants for brand new cars. So where they used to give £5,000 off a brand new electric vehicle, that's no longer the case. They used to give discounts, grants towards the installation of a home charger. That's no longer the case. So now you're looking at £750 or more to install a home charger. And obviously, this last couple of years, particularly this year, we've seen a massive cost of electricity increase, going from typically around 10 pence per kilowatt hour up to around 34 pence per kilowatt hour on the new capped tariffs. So we're going to talk about, do electric cars still stack up financially? Do they still make sense as a decision for your new next car? And the answer is really, it depends. Let's take, for example, if you have an electric car at the moment. So at the moment, electric cars are zero road fund licence, no car tax to be paid. However, the government said that from 2025, it intends to start charging EVs road tax, which at the moment is £165 per car, per year. Now £165, when you're talking about the purchase of a new car that might be £30,000 or more, seems quite trivial, and it can be. £165 a year is around 45 pence a day. So it is quite a low cost when you talk about the other running costs, insurance, everything else. However, it is an additional cost for people. And this coming at a time when the cost of living increases means that people are tightening their budgets, it's something that needs to be borne in mind. As well as the changes to the car tax, there's changes to company car benefits as well. So at the moment, EVs are based on 2% benefit in kind. So you only pay 2% of the value of the car on a percentage of your income as a benefit per year. So it means that electric cars are currently very, very cheap compared to petrol or diesel or even hybrid cars, which can be much higher. Now the government said that from 2025 it intends to increase this by 1%, up to a maximum of 5% for electric cars, up to a maximum of 21% for hybrid or plug-in hybrid cars, ultra-low emission cars they call them. This compares to up to 37% for a petrol or diesel car. So they're still incentivising you towards electric vehicles, but not to the same extent they once were. One of the things we've seen as well is with the cost of electricity going up, obviously this means that it may cost you more to charge the car, and therefore the cost per mile is increased. Well, let's take a look at the Nissan Ariya and compare it against the Nissan Qashqai e-Power hybrid. The Nissan Ariya does about 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour on average in real world driving. And that means that at the current capped tariff of 34 pence per kilowatt hour, you're looking at a cost per mile of around 10.6 pence. To put that into context, that means if it was a petrol car, it would be equivalent of the car doing around 70 miles per gallon. Now, the Qashqai e-Power does around 50 miles per gallon, so its cost per mile is 14.9 pence at the moment, based on it being £1.63.9 a litre. Having said that, back in the summer we saw petrol prices raising to around £1.91 a litre. That means that the cost of running the petrol Qashqai, the hybrid Qashqai, would be around 17.3 pence per mile. So obviously the cost of petrol and diesel is not fixed either, that can go up or down. At the moment, electricity costs have risen massively compared to where they were. There are still some deals out there though. If you've got the ability to charge at home overnight and you've got a smart meter or an off-peak meter, you can charge for as little as 14 pence per kilowatt hour overnight. And that means that your cost per mile drops down to about 4.5 pence per mile. That means that it's equivalent of a petrol car doing 165 miles per gallon. So clearly, if you're able to charge at home, and particularly if you've got the ability to use an off-peak tariff like that, electric cars still massively worth it financially for your mileage. Where the line becomes a bit more greyed though, really, is when you're looking at public charging. If you're not able to charge at home and you're looking at charging the electric car on public chargers, there's two factors here really which affect it. First of all, business charging tariffs are not capped in the same way as domestic. So this 34 pence per kilowatt hour cap that we've got for domestic tariffs doesn't count for businesses. And that means that the cost typically of charging on these public chargers is higher because they have a higher cost. Also, the government charges 20% VAT on electricity which is supplied on these chargers, rather than the 5% VAT that you have domestically. And this means that your cost of charging is typically around 65 to 70 pence per kilowatt hour when you're out and about. Now 65 pence per kilowatt hour, as you may see on a rapid charger from GridServe for example, that means that the cost per mile is over 20 pence per mile. That's the equivalent of a petrol car doing around 35 or 36 miles per gallon. Now for some people, that cost per mile, that 35 miles per gallon, might be what they're getting at the moment out of a petrol car when they're doing particularly an urban journey. But for others, particularly if you're doing a lot of motorway miles and you don't have the ability to charge at home, that is something worth considering. You may be better off, financially at least, by choosing a hybrid car or a plug-in hybrid car, or a car is indeed like the Qashqai e-Power. One of the other things to bear in mind as well, I say with the car tax change, is that the government's mooted that electric cars which are currently exempt from paying the luxury car tax premium for 5 years may start paying it from 2025. So from 2025, if you chose an electric car which is over £40,000, which, because electric cars do cost more and because we've got inflation at the moment, a lot more cars are going to be heading that way, could mean that you're paying £500 a year car tax for your electric vehicle from 2025. Again, this could all change because we are due a general election before 2025. And there's a possibility that the policies may be amended before that time. But just bearing it in mind, if you're thinking of a long-term sort of 3-4 years you're going to be holding the car for, it's worth thinking about this cost if you're looking at cars. Now, the government grants are no longer available for electric cars. However, there are a number of other incentives towards ownership. These may be localised, so for example in certain areas you may get free parking if you're in an electric vehicle. There's no congestion charge to pay if you're in Bradford or Birmingham or London. And these congestion charge zones are being rolled out to other cities, so actually just saving that £10-12 a day that you would if you're driving into central London every day by driving an electric car, that itself offsets any sort of car tax cost or any additional cost you may be paying per kilowatt hour on your electric bill at the moment. Overall, whether you need to go for an electric car or a hybrid car next, come to Chorley Group for the correct advice. We're here to make sure you choose the right car for you and you don't get legged up along the way. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you found it interesting and informative. If you'd like to find more videos like this, you can subscribe to our channel by clicking up here. If you'd like to find out more information about electric cars, click on our website here. If you'd like to see our review of the Nissan Ariya, click down here. And if you'd like the Nissan Qashqai e-Power review, click down here. Thanks for watching. See you next time.